It's ghetto gang. It's ghetto gang. It's ghetto gang. It's ghetto gang. Not going to belabor the point. Salute to you. Appreciate you pulling back up. We going to get ready to some very interesting stuff. Let's go.
I've listened to your black ass talk all day about how much you can't stand black folks.
Ain't two of them in the history of the world that's worth a squirrel for it.
Oh, how much you love white folks.
Best thing the good Lord ever did for the planet Earth.
Ruckus, you black as the ace of spades, man.
I don't see the need for you to go and insult the man after a game of checkers. We've been reminiscing all day, looking in each other's eyes, acting like we like each other. Now you gotta go ahead and remind me of my ailment.
Ailment?
That's right. You heard of vitiligo? Shoot, well, I got re-vitiligo. Every year my skin just seemed to get blacker and darker and blacker and then more darker. It's the opposite of what Michael Jackson got. Lucky bastard.
Ruckus, how could you possibly love white people so much?
It's easy. Have you ever looked at them? White man just a joy to be around. They smell like lemon juice and pledge furniture cleaner. And look at them. They gave us discipline, jobs, put structure in our lives, took us out the jungle. And what we do to show our appreciation? We march up and down the street. We vote. Carry on. Ingrates.
Well, how about this? Game.
My name is Abby Johnson, and I spent 8 years working for Planned Parenthood. But today, I'm a pro-life activist. When I was in college, Planned Parenthood approached me at a volunteer.
So this is Abby Johnson, guys. For those that don't know, Abby Johnson is a pro-life activist now. She recently spoke at the Republican National Convention. Long and short of it, she worked at Planned Parenthood for about a decade. Also did some volunteer work there. Quit after reportedly seeing a abortion and seeing the child in the stomach, as she reports in her story. I wasn't there, but she reports in her story, seeing the child on the monitor try to evade and escape the suction and the scraping to get it out of the womb. So at that point, she realized there's no way this is just a clump of cells. Shout to HQ. There's no way this is just a clump of cells. That is a living thing that is afraid to die, is afraid to be deleted. Let's go.
Volunteer fair. They talked about helping women in crisis and their commitment to keep abortion safe, legal, and rare. I was convinced to volunteer and later offered a full-time job as a medical assistant before my promotion to director of the clinic. I truly believed I was helping women, but things drastically changed in 2009. In April, I was awarded Planned Parenthood's Employee of the Year Award and invited to their annual gala where they present the Margaret Sanger Award, named for their founder. And Margaret Sanger was a racist who believed in eugenics. Her goal when founding Planned Parenthood was to eradicate the minority population. Today, almost 80% of Planned Parenthood abortion facilities are strategically located in minority neighborhoods. And every year, Planned Parenthood celebrates its racist roots by presenting the Margaret Sanger Award. Later in August, my supervisor assigned me a new quota to meet, an abortion quota. I was expected to sell double the abortions performed the previous year. When I pushed back, underscoring Planned Parenthood's public-facing goal of decreasing abortions, I was reprimanded and told abortion is...
You heard what she said. You heard what she said. That they have a goal for how many abortions to get every year. It's like selling Cheetos or sneakers, selling watches or cell phones. You got to get your quotas up. If you don't get your quotas up, we're going to have to let you go. I didn't know this was a sales position. I thought I was here to help people with their reproductive rights. No. You're here to get your numbers up. Get your numbers up and get going, girl.
A new quota to meet, an abortion quota.
Abortion quota. A deletion quota. Keep going.
I was expected to sell double the abortions performed the previous year.
Double the deletion.
When I pushed back, underscoring Planned Parenthood's public-facing goal of decreasing abortions, I was reprimanded and told.
So what she's saying is, publicly, Planned Parenthood talks about trying to lower the amount of fetus deletuses and erasures, but privately, they're having these meetings, which literally sound like boardrooms at huge corporate sales companies, huge Best Buys, huge Targets, huge Apple stores, where they're having all their top salespeople come in and say, you got to get your numbers up. That's how we get this money. Let's go.
Abortion is a pro-life activist. When I was in college, Planned Parenthood approached me at a volunteer fair. They talked about helping women in crisis and their commitment to keep abortion safe, legal, and rare. I was convinced to volunteer and later offered a full-time job as a medical assistant.
Support the movement, support the movement, support the movement. $ his ghetto point of view. Thank you. Get back to it.
Before my promotion to director of the clinic, I truly believed I was helping women, but things drastically changed in 2009. In April, I was awarded Planned Parenthood's Employee of the Year Award and invited to their annual gala where they present the Margaret Sanger Award, named for their founder. And Margaret Sanger was a racist who believed.
For those that don't know Margaret Sanger, the known eugenicist, was the founder of Planned Parenthood. Let's keep it going.
Believed in eugenics. Her goal when founding Planned Parenthood was to eradicate the minority population. Today, almost 80% of Planned Parenthood abortion facilities are strategically located in minority neighborhoods. And every year, Planned Parenthood celebrates its racist roots by presenting the Margaret Sanger Award. Later in August, my supervisor assigned me a new quota to meet, an abortion quota. I was expected to sell double the abortions performed the previous year. When I pushed back, underscoring Planned Parenthood's public-facing goal of decreasing abortions, I was reprimanded and told abortion is how we make our money. But the tipping point came a month.
Abortion is how we make. Cause every day we on our peso.
Month later, when a physician asked me to assist with an ultrasound-guided abortion, the abortions performed the previous year. When I pushed back, underscoring. Later in August, my supervisor assigned me a new quota to meet, an abortion quota. I was expected to sell double the abortions performed the previous year. When I pushed back, underscoring Planned Parenthood's public-facing goal of decreasing abortions, I was reprimanded and told abortion is how we make our money. But the tipping point came a month later when a physician asked me to assist with an ultrasound-guided abortion. Nothing prepared me for what I saw on the screen. An unborn baby fighting back, desperate to move away from the suction. And I'll never forget what the doctor said next. Beam me up, Scotty. The last thing. Nothing prepared abortions. I was reprimanded and told Abortion is how we make our money. But the tipping point came a month later when a physician asked me to assist with an ultrasound-guided abortion. Nothing prepared me for what I saw on the screen. An unborn baby fighting back, desperate to move away from the suction. And I'll never forget what the doctor said next. "Beam me up, Scotty." The last thing I saw was a spine twirling around in the mother's womb before succumbing to the force of the suction. On October 6th, I left the clinic looking from the suction, and I'll never forget what the doctor said next. "Beam me up, Scotty."
Beam me up, Scotty. If what she's saying is accurate, man, how can we even support those things with one more tax dollar? If what she's saying is accurate, how can we support these institutions with one more government-funded dollar? Keep going.
The last thing.
Does the government get its tax dollars from the people? Just to be clear. Yeah, they might borrow it from the Fed, but then the Fed expect the people to run that back. You know what I mean? Let's keep it going.
I saw was a spine twirling around in the mother's womb before succumbing to the force of the suction. On October, last thing I saw was a spine twirling around in the mother's womb before succumbing to the force of the suction. On October 6th, I left the clinic, looking back only to remember why I now advocate so passionately for life. I founded and currently run And Then There Were None, a nonprofit organization that's helped nearly 600 abortion workers transition out of the industry. For most people who consider themselves pro-life, abortion is abstract. They can't even conceive of the barbarity. They don't know about the products of conception room and abortion clinics where infant corpses are pieced back together to ensure nothing remains in the mother's wombs, or that we joked and called it the pieces of children room. You see, for me, abortion is real. I know what
you heard what she said.
Position out of the industry. For most people who consider themselves pro-life, abortion is abstract. They can't even conceive of the barbarity. They don't know about the products of conception room and abortion clinics where infant corpses are pieced back together to ensure nothing remains in the mother's womb.
Where infant corpses are pieced back together to ensure nothing remains in the womb. My God, let's keep going.
Or that we joked and called it the pieces of children room. You see, for me, abortion is real. I know what it sounds like. I know what abortion smells like. Did you know abortion even had a smell? I've been the perpetrator to these babies, to these women. And I now support President Trump because he has done more for the unborn than any other president. During his first month in office, he banned federal funds for global health groups that promote abortion. That same year, he overturned an Obama-Biden rule that allowed government subsidy of abortion. He appointed a record number of pro-life judges, including 2 Supreme Court justices. And importantly, he announced a new rule protecting the rights of healthcare workers objecting to abortion, many of whom I work with every day. Life is a core tenet of who we are as Americans. And this election is a choice between 2 radical anti-life activists and the most pro-life president we have ever had. That's something that should compel you to action. Go door to door, make calls.
Now, listen, I'm not telling anybody who to vote for. I just thought that this was a very interesting information that we needed to check out. But I'm going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Where did that come from?
A license plate says it's from the federal government. Attention urban poor. The Federal Health Department, in conjunction with the Center for Minority Control, is here today with complimentary flu shots. Complimentary means free.
Free needles?
And now,
God is good.
Hey, whoa. What the hell, Hop, are you people doing? Have you forgotten all your conspiracy learnings? Listen, the government uses projects to test all kinds of poisons. Syphilis, crack, the McChitlins.
Those chitlins made me mix sick.
Now you see what I'm talking about.
Hold on, everybody. This is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And we, the people. I'm sure there's nothing to fear.
Thank you, Mrs. Stubbs.
How do you know my name?
Because we're your friend. Now come on over here and drop your pants.
No, Muriel, it's a trick.
It's just a flu shot. Don't listen to that fool.
Aha! Flu, F-L-U. Fool, F-U-L. Coincidence? I don't think so. Come on, people.
I don't think it's a coincidence either. But in all seriousness, guys, shout to Abby Johnson. We definitely going to dig into more of her testimony and the things she said about her experiences for literally working almost a decade, starting as a volunteer and working her way all the way up to a senior officer, senior administrator at some of the biggest Planned Parenthood offices that have been known. So we definitely going to dig into that. But what's going on with this ghetto? Why are you talking about this? So I don't know if you guys been paying attention, but right now it is the presidential election cycle is upon us in the United States here, and the D.N.C, or the Democratic National Convention, took place recently. And at this Democratic National Convention, I believe it was about a 4-day caucus, 4-day gathering. It had different elected officials come speak. Celebrities spoke. Oprah spoke. We're going to get into Oprah. Obama spoke. We're going to get into that. But we definitely going to keep it biblical as we look at these things. And we're going to look at these things from a very interesting, from a biblical perspective. And as well as that, we're going to look at how people can continue to play this game with your tax dollars, knowing everything they know about these people. So if everything Abby Johnson is saying is correct, they were selling the children that they were harvesting. They were barbarically harvesting the children, and they were misinforming the public, these and women who are in emotional, impressionable states, about the safety and efficacy of these procedures. They're safe, they're harmless, they're not gonna give you any physical problems down the road, they're not gonna give you mental problems down the road, they're not gonna give you psychological traumas down the road, they're not gonna prohibit or preclude you from having children down the road, and we're going to safely and harmoniously and with the best methods possible dispose of these fetal tissues. Lies, and more lies. But let's keep it going, because if those that don't know, at the D.N.C. just a few days ago, there were mobile vans for Planned Parenthood at the D.N.C. And the problem with that is the Planned Parenthood, if I'm not mistaken, is a non-profit association. So they're doing a lot of for-profit things, and they're also not supposed to align themselves with one political party or another, because allegedly all women need reproductive services, right? So why would you align more with one party or the other? Why would you be outside or just earshot of one of the political parties' biggest events? Where were you at? Since it wasn't a political stunt, it wasn't a political presentation where allegedly 75 children services were provided, where 75 children caught the took the ride home to greener pastures. They were also offering vasectomies, IUDs, all this stuff in mobile buses and vans. It's amazing. Let's keep going.
The United Center and offering free abortion medication. Planned Parenthood mobile clinic. They have set one up just outside the United Center, and they won't just be handing out T-shirts and.
They're just outside the United Center. So for those that don't know, the D.N.C. happened at the United Center in Chicago. So just outside of it, according to News Nation, was
bumper stickers. They're actually going to be offering free abortion. Planned Parenthood mobile clinic. They have set one up just outside the United Center, and they won't just be handing out T-shirts and bumper stickers. They're going to be offering free abortion medication, inflatable IUDs, and
inflatable IUDs, vasectomies, and free abortions. Free 99. You get a vasectomy. You get a vasectomy. You get a deleted fetus for free. In my Oprah rendition. Let's go.
Vasectomies. News Nation's Kelsey Kernstein joining us live outside the United Center with more on this. The pro-life groups, Kelsey, they're pretty outraged by this show from Planned Parenthood outside.
Hey there, Marnie. Good morning. Yeah, I've spoken to some of these pro-life groups. They tell me they're absolutely furious that Planned Parenthood would have a mobile clinic here during the D.N.C. Now, right now, I'm in the Union Park area. This is where protesters are going to be in just the next couple of hours. I can see them setting up. But it's interesting. I've gotten on the Planned Parenthood website. I cannot find an address for this mobile clinic. And also, all of the appointments have already been booked up. Now, I do want to go ahead and show you this. So Planned Parenthood Great Rivers, which is based in Missouri, where abortions are banned, writing on X, saying, "Here we come, Chicago." And writing on X, saying, "Here we come, Chicago. Our mobile clinic will be in the West Loop on August 9th. Mobile clinic. And also, all of the appointments have already been booked up. Now, I do want
all of the appointments have already been booked up. Let's go.
to go ahead and show you this. So Planned Parenthood Great Rivers, which is based in Missouri, where abortions are banned, writing on X, saying, "Here we come, Chicago. Our mobile clinic will be in the West Loop on August 19th and 20th. Now, this is a neighborhood just minutes from the Democratic National Convention where it's taking place. Going on to read that they will provide free vasectomies and abortion medication. Now, emergency contraception will also be available for free without an appointment. Also, reportedly, Planned Parenthood has said that the mobile clinic demonstrates when states like Illinois work to support rather than restrict access to affordable care. The organization is also hoping to help those patients from surrounding states like, say, Iowa, to help get an abortion where it's been restricted. Marnie?
What's been the response from both sides, really, to this mobile clinic, Kelsey?
Well, the pro-life group really saying that this is demonic that the mobile clinic would be here. They've also said that the Democratic Party is the party of death. Now, we did reach out to one of these groups, and this is Susan B. Anthony, Pro-Life America, writing us this statement, which reads, "The Planned Parenthood D.N.C. abortion bus is confirmation that the party of safe, legal, rare abortion is completely gone."
We find this action taken by Planned Parenthood is just totally disgusting in my eyes. We have so much to work for as a party. We used to be the party that stood up for the little guy, that stood up for the working class, that stood up for the vulnerable. And to see Planned Parenthood taking this action at the DNC is truly disgusting to me.
On the flip side, here's what
I wasn't even aware they had Democrats for pro-life. That's what's up. Shout out to them.
Democratic strategist told us about the mobile clinic being near the DNC.
What we're trying to provide Americans, men and women, is the ability to make their own choices about their life and their bodies and their medical care, and not have a politician make that in a back room for them.
Also, really interesting to point out that according to an Associated Press NORC poll from June, 70% of those asked, they believe that abortions should be legal, and that is up from 64% last June. Marnie?
All right, Kelsey, thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the red subscribe button below.
This is absolutely amazing, y'all. Absolutely amazing. What's crazy about this is they're not even hiding that that's what they're doing. They're not even hiding
to get more of news
that that's what they're doing, guys. This is really what it's about. This is really where we're at. They're not even hiding it. Take a quick break.
Nation's fact-driven.
Hold on, I'm getting a little slow. I think I'm doing too much at one time. I think I'm doing too much at one time. Too much at one time. See if I can take my break real quick. I'll be right back if I can.
So, I'm saying, what the fuck? Take a deep breath, man. I mean, take a long, deep breath. Know that if you call a shot, we at war. We at war. I'm there like I've always been. Think about turf, man. It ain't like it was.
I mean, you ain't gotta pay no price of buying no corners.
Since when do we buy corners? We take corners.
Man, you gonna buy one way or another.
Whether it's with the bodies we don't lost,
or you're gonna lose. Time in the joint is behind us or ahead of us. I mean, you gonna get some shit in this game, but ain't shit for free. I mean, how many corners do we need? How much money can a nigga make?
More than a nigga can spend.
And then we ain't gonna be around to spend what we done made already.
Shit, I didn't think I was gonna be around this long.
Yeah. Well, we here now. The fact is, we got every mob in town, east side, west side, ready to pull together. Share territory on that good shit that Pop Joe putting out there. We take that shit downtown and we get in a money game that niggas ain't going to jail. I mean, we passed that run and gun shit, man. Like, we finance a package and we ain't gotta see nothing but bank. Nothing but cash. No corners, no territory, nothing. We make so much goddamn straight money, man. Government come after us, man. Ain't shit they could say.
Businessmen, huh?
Let the youngins worry about how to retail, where to wholesale. I mean, who gives a fuck who's standing on what corner if we taking that shit off the top, putting that shit to good use, making that shit work for us. We can run more than corners, B. Period. We could do like Little Willie, man, back in the day with all that number money and run this goddamn city.
Like businessmen.
Man, just let me talk to the boy Marlo, see if I can't smooth this shit out. I mean, it ain't gonna be overnight, because the nigga only knows what he knows. But I think I could talk some sense in his head.
Yeah, I ain't no suit-wearing businessman like you. You know, I'm just a gangster, I suppose. And I want my corners.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
And we're refusing to confirm that there's an investigation into this shocking undercover video. A conservative group claiming it was taken at 2 Planned Parenthood operations in the metro area. Now, we want to warn you, this video is not suitable for children. 7 News reporter Lindsay Watts finding it shocking for both its subject matter and the responses it generates.
I was talking with my boyfriend the other day, and
the woman speaking is posing as a 15-year-old seeking sex advice at the Planned Parenthood in Littleton.
He mentioned that book, 50 Shades of Grey.
The staff member explains what happens in that very adult book.
Tying up and gagging involved.
And then,
have you guys ever gone to a sex shop together?
No.
Okay.
What is that?
There is tons of.
So for those that are unaware, there was a huge investigation started by a watchdog nonprofit group. Some people say it was a right-wing group, and they did a huge investigation into Planned Parenthood. And in that investigation, they found a lot of very shocking information. And this is but a little bit of it. And we gonna dig. We gonna take our time. We gonna get the shovel. And we gonna put our foot at the back of the shovel, and we gonna get the Let's go.
Refusing to confirm that there's an investigation into this shocking undercover video. A conservative group claiming it was taken at 2 Planned Parenthood operations in the metro area. Now, we want to warn you, this video is not suitable for children. 7 News reporter Lindsay Watts finding it shocking for both its subject matter and the responses it generates.
I was talking with my boyfriend the other day, and
the woman speaking is posing as a 15-year-old seeking sex advice at the Planned Parenthood in Littleton.
He mentioned that book, 50 Shades of Grey.
The staff member explains what happens in that very adult book.
Tying up and gagging involved.
And then,
have you guys ever gone to a sex shop together?
No.
Okay.
What is that?
There is tons of sex shops around here.
The worker even encourages watching pornography.
And then do some research online, like maybe watch porn or something.
Yes, or you guys can do that together. You can do it on your own.
And a similar tone at the Lakewood Planned Parenthood.
A 15-year-old who's going to these people to get advice. She does not have her parents with her. And they're encouraging her and her partner to watch adult videos, go to sex shops, or go to adult toy shops together with her underage partner, I would hope, as well. Hope she's not dating some 50-year-old man, you know. Let's keep going, man. Let's run it back a little bit. Let's keep going.
Investigation into this shocking undercover video. A conservative group claiming it was taken in the metro area. And we want to warn you, this video is not suitable for children. 7 News reporter Lindsay Watts finding it shocking for both its subject matter and the responses it generates.
I was talking with my boyfriend the other day, and
the woman speaking is posing as a 15-year-old seeking sex advice at the Planned Parenthood in Littleton.
He mentioned that book, 50 Shades of Grey.
The staff member explains what happens in that very adult book.
Tying up and gagging involved.
And then,
have you guys ever gone to a sex shop together?
No.
Okay.
What is that?
There is tons of sex shops around here.
The worker even encourages watching pornography.
And then do some research online, like maybe watch porn or something.
Yep, and you guys can do that together. You can do it on your own.
And a similar tone at the Lakewood Planned Parenthood.
Handcuffs or a combination between pleasure and pain. Figure out a safe word.
A Catholic news outlet.
A safe word for a combination of pleasure and pain.
Outlet reports that Attorney General John Suthers is now investigating, but his office would not confirm that to 7 News.
And there's more videos to come. It's an ongoing educational campaign to
the group behind the videos says taxpayers should take note of what it's found, and public money shouldn't be spent on this kind of education.
Is the goal to shut down all Planned Parenthoods?
So the goal is to 100% strip taxpayer funding sexual practices to teens.
Lindsay Watts, 7 News.
Throughout the day, we've contacted Planned Parenthood trying to get a response to the videos, but still no statement tonight.
No statement. Of course, we don't got nothing to say about the fact that our multiple clinics were caught telling underage children outside of the supervision of their parents to engage in adult content with or without their partner, who may also be an underage minor as well. Encourage them to go to toy shops and do adult things. No. Please. We have no comment. We have no comment. We're just here to help you with your reproductive rights. Let's jump into this book real quick. If you can't get away from the book, as much as y'all may want to get away from the book, we can't. So this is Leviticus chapter 20. Start from the first verse. The Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, say to the people of Israel, any one of the people of Israel or of the strangers who sojourn, meaning you are laying with them, you are staying with them, whether you be a slave, whether you be a visitor, whether you be a traveler who's taking rest to leave there, anyone who sojourn in Israel, who gives any of his children to Moloch, child sacrifice, shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. I myself will set my face against that man and will cut him off from among his people. And because he has given one of his children to Moloch to make my sanctuary unclean and to profane my holy name. And if the people of the land do that, do at all close their eyes to that man when he gives one of his children to Moloch and do not put him to death, meaning if you see him about to do this and you close your eyes, you ignore it, you act like it's not going on, then I will set my face against that man and against his clan and will cut them off from among their people, him and any who follow him in whoring after Moloch. So you sacrifice your child, or you witness other people sacrificing their child, whether you are Israel or you just chilling with Israel, you just visiting amongst Israel, you just trading and staying amongst Israel for a time, I will cut you off and cut your clan off from among their people. Oh, it gets real, guys. Don't get nervous now. It gets very real. This is not something to be played with. And we play with this so loosely and so cavalierly, like it don't have real, actual I don't even know what the proper word would be. Irreversible circumstances. I don't know if we'll ever be able to reverse the damage that this has done to our community. I don't know if we'll ever be able to. And I know so many people arguably don't even want to. Don't think anything bad has happened. So what would there be to reverse? Now, one person that is not really known about in his help to Planned Parenthood is Dr. King and his lovely wife, Coretta. Salute to Dr. and Coretta Scott. Let's read the article real quick. The Forgotten Reproductive Legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. Oh, they recently updated the article. Damn, so they must have took some of the good juice up out of here. All right, we'll dig in and see what we can find anyway. All right, so on the 50th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King's death, Dean Erwin Chemerinsky and I reviewed Kiara Bridges' compelling book, The Poverty of Privacy's Rights, in the Yale Law Journal. In rereading Dr. King's pivotal speeches, sermons, and commentary, one is easily struck by his profound wisdom on matters related to race, class, reproductive autonomy, health, and women's equality. What is old is new again. In 1966, King wrote a landmark speech on reproductive health and rights for his acceptance of Planned Parenthood's inaugural Margaret Sanger Award. So yes, you heard that right. Dr. King and Coretta Scott won the first ever Margaret Sanger Award. of Margaret Sanger, Dr. King noted that there is a striking kinship between the fight for reproductive rights and civil rights. Brother, to borrow from This Might Be Risky. Brother, what is going on? What? Particularly because Margaret Sanger, like we, saw the horrifying conditions of ghetto life. And Margaret Sanger, seeing the conditions in the ghetto, said the best thing I can do is eradicate these people. He explained, like we, she knew that all of society is poisoned by cancerous slums. Dr. King noted that Sanger sought, like he, to expose truth to the millions. To him, unwanted, unplanned pregnancies were a cruel evil and urgently needs control. Recent scholarship provides a nuanced and complicated view of Margaret Sanger, who founded what is now the Planned Parenthood Federation of America, as does my book, Policing the Womb. In accepting the award, Miss Coretta Scott King, who appeared on his behalf, Dr. King wrote that Black Americans have no mere academic nor ordinary interest in family planning. He saw the cruelty and evils of poverty exacerbated by racial discrimination up close. He explained that there is scarcely anything more tragic in human life than a child who is not wanted, and poverty is often the root of this condition. Despite the many mountainous obstacles facing the Black community, King insisted that the key element of stabilizing Black life would be an understanding of and easy access to the means to develop a family related in size to his community environment and the income potential he can command. Perhaps for this reason, Dr. King recognized the civil rights movement as an advocacy for family planning as natural allies, seeking to quote unquote guarantee the right to exist in freedom and dignity, except for the fetus you're deleting, of course. I don't get that. There's a right to dignity and liberty except for the fetus. Dr. King's Planned Parenthood acceptance speech came at a time when some researchers and doctors estimated that as many as 1 million illegal or back alley abortions took place each year in the United States. And nobody wants this either, but at the same time, this is crazy. The hospitals were overwhelmed by the deaths and infections caused by so-called coat hanger abortions. My goodness. According to Leslie Reagan, author of When Abortion Was a Crime, maternal mortality rates of Negro women were 3 to 4 times higher than those of white women. But isn't that what they say now? Still in the safest of conditions in these hospitals that are all sterilized and have the highest level of technology and the most advanced new innovations and the most studied doctors running their departments, they still say that sisters have a much greater risk of having complications or their children having complications during a pregnancy, during giving birth, during cesareans, during natural birth. The list goes on, it seems. So I'm not really sure. And abortion-related deaths accounted for nearly half of the total maternal mortality in New York City. The entire wards and hospital floors at hospitals in nearly every major city were beyond capacity with survivors. Teenagers and women who nearly bled to death or were severely burned while trying to end unwanted pregnancies. Far less fortunate pregnant women died in bathtubs, on dining tables, in motels, and in unsanitary makeshift abortion facilities. Nobody wants this. Absolutely nobody wants this. But for Dr. King very interesting. Dr. King described family planning as a special and urgent concern. His speech, his words show a recognition that reproductive autonomy is directly linked to women's freedom, liberty, dignity, and health. The contrast between the conversations taking place in the public sphere now versus then are striking. Decades ago, Prescott Bush, father of George Bush, served as an early treasurer and fundraiser for Planned Parenthood. George H.W. Bush's father, Prescott Bush, but y'all swear that this is only Democrats are into this. Very interesting. Later, as a member of Congress, George H.W. Bush would play a crucial role in the enactment of Title X, which provides family planning services, including contraceptives for the economically disenfranchised. But again, y'all swear this is just a Democratic issue. In 1969, when access to family planning for poor women was being debated in Congress, Bush urged we need to take the sensationalism out of this topic so that it can no longer be used by militants who have no real knowledge of the voluntary nature of the program, but rather are using it as a political stepping stone. If family planning is anything, it is a public health matter. Bush prevailed, and President Richard Nixon signed Title X into law. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So, skipping a little ahead, Dr. King would be horrified by the state's oversized role in determining how and when women can control their reproductive health. Very interesting. All right, listen, man. Dr. King worked in this area, man. We can't, you know. So shout to Dr. King, I guess. Shout to Coretta Scott for going to get the award. I don't know how a man of the cloth can. Yeah, I'm very confused about that. I'm very, very, very confused about how a man of the cloth can parse that. But hey, perhaps it's something I'm not understanding. We're gonna take another quick break, gang. This is a heavy. I don't want to get people too upset, too riled up. We'll be right back though, and then get people more upset and more riled up. Shit.
A two-piece special with lots of hot sauce and all the fries you can give me.
Boy, wake up. It's almost chicken time.
What? I can't believe what you telling me. What? No way. No goddamn way. Hell no.
What is it?
These motherfuckers talking about they out of chicken. What? Listen.
Welcome to Colonel's Fried Chicken. Unfortunately, we are out of chicken at the moment. Please go away until we have more chicken. Thank you. God bless.
They ran out of chicken?
Oh man, this is some old bullshit.
No chicken? You mean I ain't gonna be able to get that bucket?
How can they be out of chicken? It's Colonel's Fried Chicken.
This is outrageous. This is an outrage.
Hello, 911? No, I ain't calling a snitch. I got a real emergency. Yeah, I hope.
Some of us have been looking forward to this day for a long, long time.
Hello, my emergency? These fools done ran out of chicken.
Welcome to Colonel's Fried Chicken. Unfortunately,
I ain't sleeping this motherfucker until I get my chicken. I ain't got chicken to do. I ain't got no job.
You better get my. That's what they do. Keep screwing the little man. They're not going to get away with this.
You're right. Hey, he's right. It's time for us to fight back. Let's knock some motherfuckers out about this chicken.
We are not going to take it in there.
Damn, I'm chicken. That's so cool.
All right, Jim, I know you've been trying to get your head around some of the social issues we discussed yesterday. I'm sure you're feeling confused and a little unsure of yourself.
I'm not confused at all, actually, PC Principal.
Okay, well, no, you are
Sanger opened the first birth control clinic in the United States back in 1916. Birth control was a dirty word. The police threw her into jail as they were to do 7 more times during her crusade, a crusade that still faces the reasoning but unalterable opposition of the Roman Catholic Church. That crusade kept Mrs. Sanger away from her children for long periods. It helped to break up her first marriage, and she suffered constant, harrowing social abuse. Mrs. Sanger, in view of all of that, let me ask you this first of all. Why did you do it? I realize that you had an intellectual conviction that birth control was a boon to mankind, but I'm sure that others have that conviction too. And so what I'd like to know is this. What events, what emotions in your life made Margaret Sanger a crusader for birth control?
Well, Mr. Wallace, it's hard to say that any one thing has made one do this or that. I think from the very beginning, I came with a large family. My mother died young, 11 children. That made an impression on me as a child. I was a trained nurse, went among the people. I saw women who asked to have some means whereby they wouldn't have to have another pregnancy too early after the last child, last abortion, which many of them had. So there's a number of things that are one after the other that really made you feel that you had to do something.
There are some other possible reasons that suggest themselves on reading your biography by Lawrence later. Your mother, as you say, died prematurely after bearing 11 children. She was born a Catholic, was she not?
She was born a Catholic, yes.
And
in Ireland.
Your father was a sort of a village atheist who clashed with church authorities, and because of his atheism, his earnings dwindled under community pressure. You and your brothers and sisters were known as, quote, children of the devil, end quote. Could it be then that, in part at least, you were driven emotionally toward the birth control movement because of antagonism toward the church, because that was a way to fight the church?
No, I don't think I had anything of the kind in mind.
So Mike Wallace just asked an excellent question there. So when she grew up, because of her father's atheistic beliefs, her and her siblings were teased and called children of the devil. He's asking, did all of that teasing and antagonism from people outside of your family lead you down this path? And to pretend like how a child is treated as whether they're coming up in their formative years doesn't affect what they then do as an adult, that's disingenuous. But of course, it being her and that being so personal, you'd obviously expect her to disavow that. But let's keep going. We actually gonna get into all of this. But before we do, oh, y'all go ahead to come back for this. Let me give it a little more taste.
I was what I would call a born humanitarian. I don't like to see people suffer. I don't like to see cruelty, even to this day. And in nursing, you see a great deal of cruelty and unnecessary suffering. At that time, there was no opposition as far as the church was concerned. Any church. It was mainly the law, the federal law and state laws that one had to think of. The church was not in my mind at all.
Well, in going after your motive then, and I will press you just a little bit more about that and then get to the specifics of this evening. But in your motive, in the movement, is it possible that the movement itself, the feeling of wanting to do anything that you felt was important, that perhaps that moved you a good deal? Because the fact remains that you led a movement against overwhelming pressures that stemmed back for centuries, and in doing so, according to your autobiography, you even left your first husband. And you wrote this to a friend, Mrs. Sanger. You said, "Where is the man to give me what the movement gives in joy and interest and freedom?" Now, what was this joy, this freedom that you craved?
Well, I don't remember that letter, who it was written.
Oh, she don't remember the letter and how it was written. But anyway, according to the CNA Catholic News Agency, and of course this is conservative, so we'll take it with that grain of salt. Planned Parenthood is quote unquote lying about MLK Alveda King charges. Dr. Alveda King, pro-life advocate and niece of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, has attacked Planned Parenthood, saying its comments about the civil rights leader amount to lying. She's charged that the organization misrepresents Reverend King's reception of the Margaret Sanger Award. "I hate to sound combative, but they do this every year," she told CNA in a phone interview. On Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the Planned Parenthood Federation, or the PPFA, released a statement saying the civil rights leader had received the Planned Parenthood Federation of America's Margaret Sanger Award in 1966. The award is given to recognize individuals' excellence and leadership in furthering reproductive health and rights, and is named for the founder of Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood said that Dr. King fought for racial justice fair wages for workers, and quality health care for all. In its January 18th statement, the organization said that Planned Parenthood works in the tradition of Dr. King to call for equity in healthcare, end quote, by erasing quote unquote disparities in the healthcare system that disproportionately affect people of color. The organization, the nation's largest abortion provider, claimed that more than 90% of the healthcare provided at its health centers is preventive and includes breast exams, pap tests, and contraception. Moving forward in the article. Speaking to CNA on Tuesday, Alveda King commented Dr. King did not attend that ceremony. He did not write that speech. In fairness, his wife Coretta did attend the ceremony. Rather, she explained his wife Coretta King delivered the speech. Alveda King questioned the authorship of the text at several points because of the language she found implausible. There's one page in there that says something about the plight of the male ego. No male will say that, she explained to CNA. King connected the falsehoods she saw about the Margaret Sanger Award with the quote-unquote lies she said are told by abortion advocates. They lied to me. They told me that my baby was a blob of tissue, that its removal would not hurt any more than removing a tooth, but it did hurt much more, and it was much more devastating. Erasure isn't healthcare. It is a death warrant for little ones, she stated. King referred CNA to her pamphlet and analysis of the PPH MLK brochure available in the African American outreach section of the Priest for Life website. She also referred to her comments on her blog, priestforlife.org. Another one, Sanger deceived Martin Luther King Jr. There's an article from the Washington Post, Tuesday, February 5th, 2002. You can't celebrate Black History Month. Is this just the same article, just being repeated by a different place? Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. You can't celebrate Black History Month without mentioning Dr. Martin Luther King, but what isn't mentioned is the twisted thread of irony woven between two events commemorated last month. January 21st marked the observance. Pardon me. January 21st marked the observance of the 73rd birthday of the slave and civil rights leader, and the following day marked the 29th anniversary of the landmark abortion decision, Roe v. Wade. People gathered in Washington in the same place as King's historic march on Washington to protest Roe. For a Black woman like myself, the two events could not have been more opposite in the freedoms gained and the rights lost. Few are aware that in May '66, King was among the first recipients of the Planned Parenthood Federation Margaret Sanger Award for what Planned Parenthood called on its website the connection between King's crusade for social equality and Sanger's birth control movement. In the context of his acceptance speech delivered by his wife, he said there was a striking kinship between our movement and Margaret Sanger's early efforts. Was King misled when he likened the struggle for equal protection and simple human dignity under the law to a campaign that resulted in denying fundamental human rights to unborn children? He might have been, because that's literally the same thing I said. Like, well, what about the right of the child? Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger formed the organization to implement the eugenic ideology that prevailed in the early 20th century. The eugenicists with whom she aligned herself espoused belief, as Sanger put it, in the supremacy and purity of certain races of people, notably the Aryan race. They believed the fit should be encouraged to reproduce, while the unfit should constrain their numbers. The unfit were poor, racial minorities, and certain groups of immigrants, and the physically and mentally handicapped. They sought to accomplish this through sterilization, birth control, and eventually deletus fetus. In its early days, PP international work was housed in the offices of the Eugenics Society. Sanger's publication, The Birth Control Review, founded in 1917, regularly featured pro-eugenic articles. Eugenicists financed Planned Parenthood's early projects, such as the opening of the birth control clinics and the publication of pro-birth control literature, and constituted most of the organization's board members. Planned Parenthood denies that Sanger was a racist or a eugenicist, but there's truth to the adage that we are known by the company we keep. Particularly insidious is the obscure 1930 Negro Project created by Sanger and Planned Parenthood, then called the Birth Control Federation of America. They designed 2 Southern and rural Negro Project demonstration programs to show how birth control could improve the general welfare of Negroes through maternal and infant death reductions and child spacing. But somehow blacks saw this as an extermination plot. Sanger herself revealed concern over that impression in a letter to a colleague. We do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. We do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. And the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. Now, I had seen the beginning of this quote, but I had not seen this whole quote and knew she was talking. I had no idea she was talking about Dr. King. The minister can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. She succeeded in convincing many black leaders, including ministers, of birth control's quote-unquote family planning benefits. Eventually, these same quote-unquote benefits and more would segue into the justification of the fetus. So it is unsurprising that although blacks comprise a mere 12% of the population, black women account for 36% of all deletus fetus performed, according to the Center for Disease Controls and Prevention's December 2000 report, or that a disproportionate number of quote-unquote family planning clinics are located in urban areas, largely populated by low-income blacks and other minorities. I truly believe King was not aware of the duplicity or the illusion, the game she was playing of the Planned Parenthood agenda, how devious they truly were. King's niece, Alveda King Tooks, told me she states that this was a direct quote from him. The Negro cannot win if he is willing to sell the furniture of his children for his personal and immediate comfort and safety. Miss King Tooks said her uncle's words do not align themselves with the condoning of the deletus fetus. The deletus fetus is a violent act and the unborn are the victims, she said. Denial of the most basic human right to live is the premise for deletus fetus. Sadly, some today have been led to confuse a quote-unquote right to a deletion with traditional civil rights. The irony is that while King heroically struggled to win equality for so-called blacks, another movement was working subversely to reduce the number of so-called black children being born. That's crazy. While he was working to win equality for so-called blacks, another movement was subversively attempting to reduce the number of them being born. What better way to limit the quote-unquote Negro problem than by decreasing the number of Negroes and by persuading leaders in the so-called black community to endorse it. Woo! Gang, I'm gonna leave it there. Are we gonna jump back into this? The Curious Case of the D.N.C. and the Double PP, Part 1. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Hit that notification bell. Support the movement. We got way more on this subject coming up. And as always, feel free to let me know how crazy I am. Free to let me know how insane what I'm saying sounds. his ghetto point of view at Gmail. Tap in. Love to the tribe. Double salutes. We out of here. Peace.